Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we are reviewing the brand new video game Dead Island 2, the highly anticipated sequel to the fan favorite Dead Island from all the way back in 2011. Dead Island 2 is a first-person action role-playing game developed by Dambuster Studios and published by Deep Silver. It was announced way back in 2014, 3 years after the original game's release. And given the type of game, most people assumed that it would be a short matter of time before we got the sequel. Well, it wasn't. It took them 1 year shy of a decade to deliver this game. And so, unfortunate or not, that will be a factor in the way that people perceive this game. Dead Island 2 takes place about 10 years after the first Dead Island game, this time right in LA. The government has covered up the previous outbreaks, somehow, so nobody knew this was possible, and of course were taken completely by surprise. A sad and predictable outcome of an incredibly stupid policy that, honestly, I could realistically see happening in the real world. When the game starts, California is under lockdown. Typical. And 6 different people, whom the game has dubbed Slayers, all board a plane attempting to flee the state, probably aiming for Texas, Florida, or Tennessee. However, none of them will make it, because the plane won't make it out of the state. That I can promise you. Thanks a lot, Newsom. You get to choose one of these Slayers to play as, and to escape what the developers have aptly named Hell A. The Slayers are a hustler, Juice WRLD-looking punk named Bruno, whom incidentally we don't talk about, a mechanic named Carla, a retail worker named Danny, a male stripper named Ryan, this is obviously who I chose, an athlete named Amy, and a stuntman named Jacob. You should choose well, because not only can you match your real-life profession, but each of the Slayers has a role, such as a tank. This will dictate the types of skills you can learn and the best way for you to approach combat. Obviously, this really shouldn't be a spoiler. The character you choose to play as survives the plane crash, and then you need to survive the apocalypse and get out of Hell A. So basically, it is a living in California 2023 simulator, and you're playing an average week during an election cycle. I won't spoil any story in this review, as I have found it to be at least mildly interesting, but I will now fill you in on the basic story structure of the game. Before we get too far into the review, I do want to say that as a member of the Deep Silver Creator Collective, I did receive a copy of this game for free, so that could, I guess, build in some unconscious bias towards the game. I don't think it does, and anybody who's watched my channel long enough has known that I get free games all the time, and I review them on the channel, and I've never let it affect the way that I score the game. But, like I said, in the spirit of full disclosure, I was given the game for free. It's not a paid review, though. I haven't been given any money for my testimony. I'm not being generous just because I'm being given something, because I'm not. So, this is an honest review, but I did get the game for free. So, I like getting that out of the way early on, so that way I don't have to remember to tack it on at the end. But yeah, let's get to the review. In this game, you have a primary objective which will either lead you through the part of the map that you are in, or into another one to find someone or something. Along the way, you can explore the semi-open cell world, find weapons, gather crafting materials, and most fun of all, stumble across some honestly interesting side characters who have their own missions. I do recommend doing them because so far they have been more fun and engaging than the main story has. But that's all I really want to touch on for story, as this is really more of an arcade game, so the story is super secondary. Dead Island 2 is, and this should be no surprise, all about the gameplay. It is a game about finding creative ways to kill zombies, the vast majority of which are pretty simple to dispatch once you've got things figured out, but some of which, so far for me only linked to story progression, you will encounter bosses that can be very difficult to take down, and will sometimes take multiple attempts before you can figure out the right strategy. Most of the game is melee centered, but there are thrown weapons and ranged weapons like guns as well. There are also a number of types of damage, including caustic damage and fire, and these will be very effective against some enemies, and oddly will render your club or sword totally useless against others. So, it does require at least some small amount of thought. So, honestly, the gameplay isn't bad. It's a little too linear for my tastes, and arcade-style games like this are always some of my least favorite experiences, as they are about as deep as the water in the bottom of a defrosting muffin bag. But the gameplay loop itself has not bored me yet. It's like 90% combat, and the combat does work, and isn't tedious at all. So if you like unhinged, gory, non-stop combat, then you will almost certainly like Dead Island 2, as that is pretty much entirely what the game is. The voice acting has not put me off my dinner yet, and that's pretty universal. The character I chose, at least, seems to have been competently acted, and all the characters I have interacted with have been the same. Some of them have actually been really good, whereas all of them have been at the very least acceptable, so no voice acting complaints from me. And of course, optimization-wise, the game has performed pretty much flawlessly for me. Now, I am playing it on a very high-end PC, so your mileage may vary, but I have had consistent and very high frame rates without interruption for the entire game so far. I haven't noticed a single instance of stuttering, frame rate drops, it hasn't frozen or crashed once. And keep in mind, I have played it at this point for about 10 hours straight, and on the notoriously glitchy Epic Games launcher to boot. So I have definitely been impressed by the performance. And on top of all of that, unlike many games I've played, this one didn't warm my PC up a single degree above normal idle on max settings. Honestly, the game looks and feels like it should have been released in, say, 2014 to 2015. And that shouldn't be surprising because that is generally what 10 years of development hell does. You end up getting the same game, but with the added benefit of being a decade older than you were when you played the first one. Were you in high school when the first one came out? Well then, from a societal standpoint, you should be married with kids, have a full-time job, and a mortgage by now. But outside of all of that, my only major complaint is that the PC version of the game is an Epic Games Store exclusive. I won't go into nauseating detail here with my 1,000,001 reasons for why I really don't like the Epic Games Store launcher, because I've done that before. But in short, I really don't like it. And unfortunately, Dead Island 2 is exclusive to Epic Games on PC. However, if you play on console, no worries because I believe it launched for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X simultaneously. I do not support the decision to force us to buy it on EGS. I've always said if EGS wants to compete, then that's great because competition is a good thing. But let the consumers choose where we want to keep our games. I don't think that's such a hard concept. All in all, Dead Island 2 is certainly not for everyone, but I think there are a lot of people out there who will enjoy it if they give it a chance. It is mostly about the combat after all, and the combat is fun, so therefore the game does a great job at achieving what it sets out to achieve. If you like mindless shoot-'em-ups with a pretty serious diversity of combat direction and satisfying gory finishers and dismemberment, then you will probably get at least as much of a kick out of this game as I have. Oh, and I forgot to mention, since it's so irrelevant to me, but the game is co-op, so you can play with your friend. From what I've been told, it is not cross-platform, but it is cross-generational, so if all goes smoothly and you want to, you can probably enjoy the game with all your little friends. But that's it. That does it for my off-the-cuff first impressions review of Dead Island 2. I hope you enjoyed this video, or at least found it useful. But that's all for today. We'll see you next time. Oh, and one final note before I let you go today, I almost forgot to say. The developers have said that they might give out some free codes to different streamers or content creators like myself who cover the game, depending on kind of how much traction, I guess, the videos get. So if this video does well enough, they might give me some free codes that I can then give out to people here on the channel. So two things. A, I recommend subscribing to the channel and staying tuned if you want to get yourself a free code for this game because, you know, that will probably be part of it, and otherwise you might just miss it. And B, you know, like the video, leave a comment, share it around. The more popular the video gets, the more codes they'll give me. So, just a little fun fact there. If you want a chance to get a free code, you know, help the video get more popular and also subscribe to the channel. But now that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a good day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching, and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.